I'm going to go ahead and get started tonight. Welcome, everyone. I hope you've actually enjoyed the live sessions during this course. I know that they're not an element of every single course, but periodically you will see them. We are switching, I think, for most people to post the recorded version of the session in YouTube. That seems to be working best. What happens is that Moodle will only accommodate a file of a certain size, and so if you upload that to YouTube and then post that YouTube video, it seems to work a little bit better. So I think that's working nicely. I'm going to try to make tonight relatively short. I know last week we spent a great deal of time talking about that final paper for this course. So I wanted to just briefly kind of recap on some points that I made. Remember that the paper for this week, our final exam equivalent, the portfolio, is actually going to be an analysis of all of the media forms that you've written about so far in the class. So the nice thing is you've really done your research for this paper. It's just a matter of putting those together now. And in the paper, remember that you're writing in the first person for this final paper. What that means is the difference between a first person paper and writing in the third person is that with a first person, you can actually say I and talk about how you feel or think about something. You can state your opinion. I agree with this. I don't. Here's what I thought about this, and that kind of thing. Whereas in a third person paper, you're writing from a more neutral perspective, and it's more like you're just presenting information. So it's kind of fun to really be able to write a paper and really express how you feel. So you're going to answer the questions: how are all of these forms of media connected through popular culture? How does really anything that we've studied in our philosophy course tie in with any of these? If you're just logging in, if you'll go ahead and put mute on your end, it should be in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. There's a mute button, and that just kind of helps with feedback on your end. And then at the end, I'll definitely open it up for questions like I always do. Is there one particular form of media that you feel like has a greater impact? And then you kind of want to tie this together. What evidence can I give that proves my samples of writing for this project indicate my mastery of the course objectives in the syllabus? Okay, what does that mean? What evidence can I give that proves my samples of writing for this project indicate my mastery of the course objectives in the syllabus? That's where you're going to be really tying in elements from the course, from philosophy, to help explain what you're addressing in your paper, okay? Also, a big difference with this particular paper is please be sure to include that separate works cited page. That should be the final separate page of your paper that lists the sources that you used according to APA style. Now, you do want to have evidence of library research. So what that means is, let's say you found a business website that you used, and it's most likely a .com website. If that's the website that you addressed in your paper, that's obviously a resource, but it's not what we'd necessarily consider a scholarly resource. So you're going to want to look for something either in the RCO library or through an independent source that is scholarly. Okay, best thing to do is going to be look at .edu resources. It used to be that .org kind of fit in this category, but we've kind of gotten away with that, or away from that, because a lot of businesses are using that. So .edu, anything that you can find on philosophy that ties in with your paper topics would be great. There's a lot of resources if you use the education Google platform, not the regular Google, but if you just Google, if you do a Google search for Google Education, it will bring up some more quality resources. Also, a big element of this paper is that it does need to be 700 words rather than 500 words. Before you start to panic, remember that you are tying your previous papers together. It is acceptable. It is okay for you to use bits and pieces of things that you wrote for your old papers in this final paper, as long as you're tying it into how they compare. You're using information that you had written previously, that's fine, as long as you're tying those all into this particular paper. Another thing that I've seen that is really important is if you'll do that end of the course survey, I know it's only a couple of points, but it does and it can make a relatively, tiny difference, but sometimes, maybe that's all it takes. And so do fill that out. And then what I'll do is I'll put your points for that in on Sunday or Monday as I kind of wrap up grading for that. Also, just a reminder, if you haven't looked at the grade book recently, do try to do that so that you can just check. Again, I really don't ever have things not load in this system or really things mess up, but I always think it's good from your end just to be proactive and check that grade book, make sure everything looks right. And then certainly, as always, email me if you have any questions and I can look at that for you. I also wanted to point out that I have to turn in grades relatively quickly. And so I really need you to get everything in Sunday night. That way I can spend Monday and Tuesday grading, and then Tuesday evening I have to turn in final grades for the course. So at this time I want to go ahead and I'm going to kind of open it up individually. Jessica, I see your name here first. Do you have any specific questions, comments, anything to clarify at this time?
Just putting all the papers we wrote together in this one final. I know I can do it. I don't know, it just seems kind of confusing on how am I going to tie all of them into the one paper with we've all kind of wrote about the same political views and all that, but how am I going to tie that into the one paper?
Okay, so focus on the forms of media. We wrote about websites, we wrote about television shows, we wrote about songs, and what am I leaving out? We wrote about, what was the other one, guys? Help me out.
The magazine.
Magazine, I'm sorry.
Magazine.
Okay, so those are all forms of media, all right? They all have some similarities, they all have some differences. What you want to do is look at how are those things collectively, but also independently. So things, you're going to talk about the ways they're alike and the ways they're different. How are they making an impact? It says on popular culture, but really what that means is how are they making an impact on your life today? Because popular culture is now. The term popular culture is like what we're kind of experiencing now in the present day. So how's that impacting, things? And that's the good thing about being able to write in the first person. You're not just sort of talking about this in broader terms. I think it's really a good idea in this paper to focus, how are these things impacting you? And so one of the things that I always like people to, I always love to see people talk about is certainly appropriate to put in, an educational tie. How is this affecting your education? You are, all taking online courses and you're doing research and work online and using all these different elements to complete your work. That's very different than when I was in college. I actually had to drag myself to a library. And, email first started to kind of get popular when I was in college. And I'm not that old, but it's just really, things have changed, and all these elements really make an impact on how we're living our lives. And then, of course, and this is an open-ended question for you to choose, which one of those elements do you feel like has the most impact on society, the most influence? Do you feel like magazines, you don't have to share this opinion, but, magazines are very different than what they used to be.
I would say the radio or TV.
Right. They still, or TV for that matter. Yeah. So, how have those things changed? What's maybe the one thing that, has the biggest impact in your opinion right now? And again, you're really kind of focusing on, you've done a lot of the research. Now you just have to do more thinking about how these things work together, and then really how you feel about all these things.
Okay.
So don't hesitate to put your opinion in the paper. That's what this assignment is all about. You're definitely going to talk about, what you think. I want you to back that up with some information, but you're definitely free to have an opinion in this paper.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Jessica. Elliot, how about you? You're kind of the next on my list there.
I don't too much have, I understood everything y'all was saying. Basically, I've been, bouncing back and forth with the military since, and I've been having that much chance to turn in most of my work. So, but I got a good understanding of what y'all was talking about and how to tie in everything that was going down.
Okay.
So
if you can, still go ahead and submit some of that late work, and I will. I'll still accept that. I try to be fairly reasonable about accepting late work. So if you can, try to get in as much as you can. Definitely focus on the papers. They have the biggest impact since it's the large assignment for the week.
All righty. There's. Okay. I'll have in everything. I should have everything in by Saturday, because my Sunday is going to be ultra busy because I'm going to be taking a small deployment with the military.
Okay.
Come up on Monday.
All right. Well, best of luck to you.
All righty.
Lisa, how about you? Did you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am. I know I texted you this morning, but also I have a question. I've been struggling with the mission statement for, I believe it's week 4 assignment, where, like, I did Walmart, but it normally just pops up, their sales ads and whatnot. I'm trying to see where do I need to look for.
You may just need to look up, do a specific Google search in this case for the, what is the mission statement of Walmart? As I'm sure it's buried somewhere on their website. But I would just do a Google search specifically for what is the mission statement for Walmart, and I think that'll be your best bet.
Okay, yeah, because I've been I've slept majority of the day, so I can stay up all night and all day tomorrow to turn everything in.
All right. And I'm sorry, I can't remember. Is it Sheila who's calling in? Right? Sheila, are you the one calling in on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Your name doesn't pop up when you call on the phone. Did you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Actually.
All right. I will continue to check emails throughout the weekend. I always do on that final weekend of the course, just to make sure anybody doesn't have any last minute panic moments. Again, though, if you have some sort of crisis, just let me know, and I can. I'll check emails. I'll check email at least a couple times on Sunday, even, and that way, if you need anything. I know this class seems like it's gone by. I feel like every class does go by fairly quickly, but this one in particular, something about it seems like it's flown by faster than normal. So thank you, guys, and good luck with all of your individual educational goals, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
You.